Happy to see everyone for the share this morning. And just a couple of things before I start. I wanted to just let you know that it's not a classical Parsha share the way I usually do it, but I am going to mention the Parsha. So note say with connecting it to the Parsha. The second thing is it's about Iyar, the month of Iyar and the Sefirah, which I understand is also something that is being talked about on Monday by Ellen Hyman, and she's going to do it again on the second part of the program on Monday. So this isn't specifically necessarily about Iyar, so I don't think it's completely overlapping, so I don't think it's redundant. I'm going to take a different approach. I did look at some of her photos. I will mention one of them in my share, but I think my perspective is a little bit different, so it won't be repetitive in any way, I don't think. All right, so just wanted to alert you to both of those issues. So this topic, the month of Iyar and the Sefirah, and specifically about the Sefirah. The Sefirah has always been a fascinating topic for me because on the one hand, the Sefirah is something wonderful and amazing, right? Because the word Sefirah, if you look into the deeper level, on the drash level, the word Sefirah is related to the word Safir, which is a modern Hebrew word. Who knows what Safir is? Brightness and a stone, exactly. Brightness and the snow, well, a stone, right? So precious stone because the stone is shiny and bright and sparkles, right? So Sefirah, it's a time of great enlightenment, right? It's a great time between Pesach and Shavuot. So Sefirah has a real positive aspect to it. But on the other hand, the way we talk about it in the Jewish community, it's the Sefirah. Oh, I can't have a wedding because it's the Sefirah, right? And we're not dating every day because it's the Sefirah. So the Sefirah has a connotation of something negative, sad, grief, mourning. So for a long time, I've been troubled by this idea that on the one hand, Sefirah is such a positive part of our Jewish calendar. And then on the other hand, it has this kind of sad and mournful kind of experience. And so I've always struggled with why we have both of these experiences at the same time. On the one hand, Sefirah is a positive, and on the other hand, I would say negative, but there's some limitations, difficult aspects to it. And then that seems to override all the positives. We say, we call it Sefirah, but it's not Sefirah. It's the morning practices that happen to be in Sefirah. And yet now we call it Sefirah. So it's always been troubling to me that we've had that situation. Okay, so that's the beginning of this topic. So finally, I've been able to kind of develop some kind of a theory about this issue that I'd like to present today. So this is hot off the presses. It's nothing that I've ever discussed before. So I hope it has something meaningful. All right. So when we talk about Sefirah, we also talk about the month of Iyar, because among the special qualities of Iyar is that it's the only month, obviously only month of the whole year, that is completely taken up by Sefirah, right? We begin counting in Nisan, but that's only part of the month. We end counting in Sivan, but that's only part of the month. So Iyar, therefore, since it is the bridge between Pesach and Shavuot, then every day of Iyar is also a part of Sefirah Omer. So therefore, I'm looking to Iyar as also kind of participating in this discussion. So we're bringing Iyar into the mix as well. So on the one hand, the month of Iyar is that connection and is expressed by Sefirah HaOmer, so therefore it's a positive. But are there other things about Iyar that also have this other kind of challenging or more limited kind of experience? All right, so I'm going to be giving a few examples from Torah, from Midrash, and from history in order to delve into the idea of the personality of Iyar. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to be doing is talking about the spiritual weakness that is expressed in Iyar. Because we first come going back into the Torah, we journey following Yetzias Mitzrayim. So there's a Sefer from the Chazal that's called Seder Olam. And as the name implies, it talks about Jewish history from the beginning of creation until the traditional idea of what happened when, even when it's not explicit in the Torah. So the Seder Olam says that in the year the Jewish people left Egypt, Rosh Chodesh Iyar was on a Sunday, the 23rd, it says second, 23rd day. Thank God David isn't here. He'd get me on the grammar. So it should be very good. Okay, so it should be the 23rd of Iyar. Well, I think I must have, that doesn't make sense. I was focusing on the 23rd. So just erase that. Take out your pen. The 23rd of Iyar. Rosh Chodesh Iyar was on a Sunday, and the following day traveled to Rephidim. That would be where the battle with Amalek took place. So that's what I want to bring out. You know, there was some. I think I must have deleted something in the proper format or sequence. But the point that I want to show you is that so Iyar is when battle with Amalek at the end of chapter 17 of Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's when it occurred. Okay, so that's the point. We're all on the same page now. We're all together. Okay, so that's the idea. So in Iyar, the Milchama with Amalek took place. And take a look at the Midrash from the Tanhuma. And I just gave you the English translation. It is written concerning the time that Amalek came to fight against Israel. And then they quote the pasuk in Perek Yud Zayin again, that they fought in Rephidim, right? So why does it matter that we have to know what city the battle took place, right? So why does it matter? Who cares, right? So as you are aware, somebody just mentioned it, because the rabbis learned a kind of a play on words. Rephidim sounds very much like Rafu Yedehem, right? You can see that. Rephidim, Rafu Yedehem. It sounds the same, right? So Chazal teach us that because of this connection, and you look at what does Rafu Yedehem mean, it means that their hands became weak. So what does it mean that their hands became weak? It doesn't mean physically, but it means spiritually. So the rabbis are making two rules, right? Because when you say the hands are weak, we mean it in the spiritual sense, that they were not, well, keeping the Torah and the mitzvot, right? Even though they really weren't commanded, you have a good question, they really weren't commanded with things, but it just means that their spiritual approach was really weak. which is striking because they were just coming out of Egypt, right? So we're getting a sense that, wait a second, on the one hand, we're thinking that the Jewish people were on such a high level when they exited Egypt. But Chazal is teaching us, wait a second, we have the sources in the Torah. Now, wait a second, why all of a sudden, if it's such on a great level, all of a sudden that, wait a second, the Amalekites are fighting against Israel? Well, if they are, that means that they're fighting, that means this, the spiritual and the physical have to go together. So therefore, we have to learn, wait a second, maybe they weren't on such a great level. So we'll take comments later on, right? We're gonna present the Mahala. So at least given this figure, you could say the other say, well, no, they weren't on such a okay. All the sides here. The side that I'm pointing out, right? And I don't want to give instructions of wherefore and all that, which is also valid. But the point is, just on this point, I think we can all agree that on some level with the Exodus, they were on a high level. And second, they fall when their hands became weak in this Chazal kind of approach. Okay, so we see here that Iyar is a time where there is spiritual weakness. This is what I want to point out. All right, so this is number one. The second point is in faith, because we just read these parshas a few weeks ago. Now it's a long time ago, actually. Can't believe we're already a month after Pesach. So this is probably even before, a few weeks before Pesach that we read it. And it just feels like yesterday. But immediately prior to the attack, we also have more information about the Jewish people's relationship with Hashem. Because we imagine that after seeing all the miracles, that they were completely faithful to Hashem. But the opposite is actually the case. The Jewish people complain to Hashem about water and food. Right? The matzah taken from Egypt on the 15th of Nisan, according to the sages, it lasted exactly 1 month. On the 15th of Iyar, when the food ran out, that's when Hashem said to Moshe that the bread would fall from heaven. All right, so the Torah states in the Shmos, Perek 16, that the people arrived in the wilderness of Sin, and that means the Hebrew, doesn't mean the English, right? I don't want to, even though we're talking about the lack of faith, but the Midbar Sin, like from Sinai, not sin as in a faith, where the manna first fell on the 15th day of the second month after leaving Egypt. Nisan is the first month. What's the second month? Iyar. When we see Iyar again, is a time where we were complaining about food. You might say, well, on the one hand, it's a complaint about food. On the other hand, it's natural. That's why Hashem doesn't get upset. But we see that there are some cracks. It wasn't 100% smooth, right? And it was only at the time of Az Yashir where we see that the Song of the Sea, where Vayaminu B'Hashem Moshe Abdo, that they believed in Hashem and Moshe. And then, but still after that, we still see that there were still complaints and complaints and complaints, right? So we see that when it started right in Iyar. So that's what I want to use here as the second example that we have from the Torah itself and from the Midrashim that in the month of Iyar was the start of the kind of some cracks of faith in Hashem, and it's realistic, right? That we're human beings, right? So it's okay to say that they weren't having faith. I mean, there are some Chazal that say, no, they were totally faithful. That's a very difficult posture to have because we see so many examples in the Torah that they weren't so faithful in the desert, even though. This is a thing, I think, on the simplest level, on a Pasha Pshat level. You say that just on a human level, they had moments of faith, but then they also had moments of doubt, right? I mean, that's a human way of looking at it. Okay, so this is the second example I have. And if we go to the next page, we have examples from history. I call it historical vulnerability. So what do I mean by that? So one of the main parts of our experience of the Omer period is a time of mourning comes from the Gemara in Yevamos that many of you are aware of. It's in Samach Days, Amid Days, and it's the Magefa of Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, which occurred during the quote Omer period, and that's really the main thrust of why we call the time of mourning the Sefirah, because it happened during the Sefirah period. Okay, so we practice in the Jewish community as a whole, we practice the whole Omer period, right? Even though some of us practice the mourning period from the beginning of the Omer until Lag BaOmer, and some people go to the second part of the Omer from Rosh Chodesh all the way till the beginning of Sivan. Whatever it is, it's 33 days according to everyone's count. So it extends from the beginning of the Omer period until the end of the Omer period. So therefore, it's subsumed under Sefirah, and that's why we have this negative aspect of Sefirah's HaOmer. So, and it's really troubling because the students of Rabbi Akiva were great Talmidei Chachamim, and yet, right, there was a bit of a chink in the armor, shall we say. I'm not going to go into an explanation of that, but it's fascinating as a sugya in itself. You know, how could the students of Rabbi Akiva, it says in the Gemara, Lo nahadu kavod zeh b'zeh, that they did not give honor to one another. Definitely a troubling idea, especially from great sage whose great mantra was v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, to love your neighbor as yourself. That cloud God all by Torah, and it's a great principle of the Torah. So how could the Talmidim have to go against one of the great principles that he stood for? And recognize that some people, I heard her recently, just last week in the shir, I heard that he didn't teach Kamocha until after this period. I find that troubling. I find your question, Marty asked, how come Rabbi Akiva didn't address it? Right, when the Rav sees something going on in the community, he has to say anything about it. Something, you got to say something about it. Certainly, Rabbi Akiva would have, right? So there are many troubling aspects of this whole period, but it sounds suspiciously familiar to like the Jewish people after Yetzias Mitzrayim. They should have been on such a high level, and yet we fell into complaining and criticizing and not being faithful. Okay, so I've given you 3 examples, one from the history of the Talmud, and I'm going to give you part B to number 3, which is the Middle Ages. And frankly, I think that the Omer period really took on this more melancholy aspect, more so from the time of the Middle Ages, because the pogroms, the crusades that targeted the communities, the 3 communities together, Worms, Speyer, and Mainz. We have a member here, a new member. His name is Magenzi. And I was like, hey, where did this come from? And it's somehow related to, in Hebrew, Mainz is called Magenzi. So it's very interesting historical level. We were in Germany a year and a half ago. No, almost no. We were in Poland here now, in Germany about almost a year ago, in June of last year, and you see that these little towns on the river are one next to each other. It's really fascinating to go through the Jewish history of the Crusades and see really how the Crusades developed. It's troubling, obviously, but this is where the really the breadbasket of the Jewish people were for many centuries, beginning in the Middle Medieval period. So we know from the keynotes on Tisha B'Av, right? Another time I'll be able to show you to document it, but it's you think that Tisha B'Av, and this is a little take a moment to prepare us for the summer. I mean, it's Hashem, unless the Mashiach comes. We'll be observing Tisha B'Av, which is another time of mourning in the Jewish calendar. Unfortunately, we have many periods of mourning. We just had Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, and now we're going to have the Sefirah, and now we're going to have later on the calendar. We have the 3 weeks and Tisha B'Av. Unfortunately, we have many of these kinds of experiences within our Luach of the Shana. In any event, we see that that Chodesh Sivan, Nisan, Iyar, and Iyar was another time when the Crusades really began. So once again, Iyar is synonymous with difficulty, and I call it here historical vulnerability. Right. So we see another example historically of difficulty in the month of Iyar. So we have several sources, and once you have three, as you know, you're already having a pattern is developed. So this is what is pulling me in to say, hey, what's going on here? Right? We have, just to summarize, right, the spiritual weaknesses of Rafu Yadehem. We have the doubts in faith about Hashem providing them with food and water in the Midbar right after the Exodus. And then historically, we have the Crusades as well as the plague of Rabbi Akiva students during the month of Iyar. So we see that Iyar is a time, on the one hand, full of Sefirah, which is the positive side of leading up to Sinai and Matan Torah again. But on the other hand, we see that it is a time of vulnerability and limitation. So what is going on? All right, so this is the next part of our discussion. So Nisan and Pesach, right, they were the revealed miracles. And Matan Torah are also about Hashem's revelation. Sarah said Debros. So now what we have in the middle, right, is from the, so we have the month of Iyar, so it's nothing really dramatic or public or spectacular from the point of view of the Torah. Right? Yes, we're going to see, we have Yom HaAtzmaut, but that's a modern historical occurrence. But from the Torah itself, Iyar is just a simple time. There's nothing dramatic that's happening in it. Okay? So it's much more, if it's not public, well, then we experience it internally, privately, and suddenly, things are going on there. Because it is Pesach, and we are going to Matan Torah. So something is going on. And I'll call it beneath the surface. Right? So so this is the connection to the Parsha Slaviyotze that we do have in this week's Parsha, the mitzvah of counting the Omer, which is the connection between Pesach and Shavuot. So there is something religiously, spiritually, is supposed to be going on here. We're supposed to be counting the Omer, right? And yet it's really one offering to another offering. And the omer is which grain? Which grain is the omer? Barley. And then on Shavuot, you bring another grain-based offering, which is what? The wheat. It's the right. It's the bread, right? The lepek, challah. So we go from, but these are both mundane things. They're both from the ground and from the earth, right? So this is really, yes, we raise the mundane, the physical to the spiritual, but we're starting. So this is the time where we're starting, and it's really from the ground up, right? So we went from the Shamayim revelation of Hashem down to something really mundane, leading once back again up to the Shamayim with the revelation of Hashem Matan and Torah. So what is beneath the surface, right? We don't want to admit it. We want to say, oh, everything is fine. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. Everything is good. Everything is good. Even when things are not so good, right? If people don't want to know, they don't want to hear. But I'm sure all of you, when you answer the question this morning and you met 30, 40 people here, how are you? I'm fine. Everything is good. But what is the reality, right? The reality is that there may be things going on, right, that aren't so good. Maybe some of you have a doctor's appointment that you're not sure about. Maybe someone don't have a doctor's appointment because you're not sure about it. Maybe someone's spouse is not well. And I see some spouses that aren't here. Maybe they're not able to make it, right? So not everything is 100%. Not that we have to complain, but we're saying in the human experience is complicated, right? We may be feeling good and okay, but not everything is 100%, right? So there's some frailty, there's vulnerability, there's weakness, as Mayor said, limitation, right? So doubt creeps in. The more we have to say everything is fine and I'm faithful, it's a reaction because there may be some doubt that's there. So we have to tell ourselves, no, wait a second, everything is okay. It's not okay, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it not being okay. We're used to that. But it's not a denial of the doubt or of the vulnerabilities involved. So in those questions, right, if we get a scare or a health scare or whatever, is Hashem really with us, right? And then, wait a second, we're building up to Matan Torah. Wait a second. Do I really have the ability to serve Hashem 100%? Wait a second. There's some difficult things here. Maybe I have some questions about how Hashem is running the world, and I'm not sure. Oh, by the way, just turn off your phones. So, right. So with the issue with the mind, yes, they were faithful, but there was also under the surface, there was a weakness. So I'm not looking at, were they all faithful? Were they not faithful? They didn't have the slave mentality. They did have the slave mentality. It's not a 100% all or nothing kind of thing. That's what I'm trying to bring out, that there's a multiple way of experiencing human life. Right, so we want man from heaven, but that means we're dependent on Hashem. I don't know about you, but I don't like being dependent on Hashem. I don't like being dependent on anything. As a person, I grew, I was a child and I was dependent. And then I became, quote, independent. Don't want to take that too far. Now there's a sense of interdependence. Maybe you're back to the Hashem, I don't know. But when you're dependent, right? In our age, one of the key issues is losing independence, right? And when you can't drive anymore and you have to be dependent on something, that is not a good feeling. If I need help, there's somebody to, help me out, help me walk. That's not a good feeling, right? So being dependent is not a good feeling. It's difficult. It's a challenge to feel. So when the Jewish people, so that's why it's like not a totally quote bad thing. He's saying descriptively, humanly, they were struggling with feeling dependent on Hashem. So it wasn't necessarily a lack of faith. It doesn't mean I can't, ask Hashem, or it wasn't a complaint about we don't have food. It means if we get food from you, oh my gosh, that means we're going to be dependent on you. That's a move mentally that takes uh, thought, that takes preparation, that takes time to get used to. Oh, now I'm depending on Shem. That's what Iyar is representing. That's what it's admitting that there's a weakness there, that I do have to start depending on Hashem. And if we're leading up to Matan Torah, oh my gosh, what does that mean? That means I'm going to have to make a commitment to Hashem. We think, oh, I'm going to go, great, I'm going to go right from the Exodus and I'm going to go to the Matan Torah. But if that was the case, well, why wasn't the Torah given right after Yetzias Mitzrayim? Right? Because there was a time of preparation that had to go on because, wait a second, it's not so easy. Because that is a tremendous commitment to make. And I'm going to talk about it from a different angle, the parallel ideas on Shabbos afternoon, a little plug for Shabbos afternoon. I'm going to take a look at it from another perspective, but it's cuts on the same kind of issue. Sometimes, you get into a similar mode and you're thinking in similar ways in when you're presenting shiurim like this. All right. All right. So where are we here? All right. Cannot see and not even sure we believe in, right? Despite the miracle. Oh my God, it was a miracle. Does that mean I have to believe now? And I have to believe, does that mean I have to do? Right? So the responsibility that this historical experience has can be very heavy and daunting. Like, oh, am I ready to make that kind of a commitment? All right, so this is what we are talking about. In addition, right, the students of Rabbi Akiva, right, were great Talmidei Chachamim, but there were ethical lapses, right? So just because they knew everything doesn't necessarily mean they translated it into ethical behavior. So just as you can say that, oh, I believe in Hashem, but I don't want to make that commitment, just because I know Torah doesn't mean I'm going to translate it into human relations, even though it's halachically appropriate. We don't just follow halach always. You can't do it because it says, but then you have to enact it. You have to embody the rules in your life. It's not always so easy. If I have an ego, I want to have my Torah be taught. I don't want someone else's Torah to be taught. The Torah teaches us, no, we shouldn't have such an ego. But that's where these breaks, these fragments can come in. And that provides the idea of the vulnerability. Right? So I'm not blaming the people of the crusade. Obviously, the anti-Semites of the world are going to come. But it just means that we just have to be reminded, right? Whether they're right or wrong historically. The Arabs are obviously attacking Jewish people in horrible ways. And we just have to keep on to our message and just keep on doing what we need to do. And anything that is a difficult experience is a reminder to us that we still have to make the right choices every day. So we're reminded that there's vulnerability when we are in Golis, and we're reminded, even in Israel, and I know this will be difficult, but it's one of my mantras that even in modern Israel, there's a Golis aspect to it because there's no Mashiach. We're still facing enemies. That's not the vision of the Messianic time. So we do have struggles even in Eretz Israel, and just because we have Eretz Israel doesn't mean we close up shop and history is over. We still got another big step to go. So there's still vulnerability. So now let's go to the next idea of the inner meaning of Iyar. And this is the Sefirah Yetzirah, which I think that Ellen was in the Makoros that she had the other day, which is, I'm not a Kabbalist, it's not my area. However, I do believe that there are often parallels with Kabbalistic ideas to rational and psychological principles, even though they're not founded in the same way or on the same principle. But I do believe we can derive rational psychological aspects of Kabbalah, and that's what my approach is going to be. So it says in the Sefer Yetzirah, which is a Kabbalistic work from the Middle Ages, it says Himlik post above Herhor. So every month has a particular letter associated to it, and each letter has a kind of a psychological, spiritual, psycho-spiritual perspective that it represents. And so this is the letter above is associated with the month of Iyar, and right, and it's related to the Hebrew concept of Irhor, which is a type of thought, right? The Midrashim says Irhor, so it's a type of a process of thinking. All right, so this is the Sefer Yetzirah. It has above, it has Hirhor, and it has Chodesh Iyar. Okay, so take a look on the next page, and so the next bit is from the Or Gedaliah, Sefer in contemporary times from Rabbi Gedaliah Shore. As I know, I'm sure many of you have studied with him, you related to him, as I learned from Century Village. Okay, so quotes. He's more of a Rosh Yeshiva type, but he also has connections to Hasidic speakers. So his Sefer is kind of like a bridge between a yeshivish Musar approach, but also a Hasidic approach. So he's a very interesting person that I've just come to start learning regularly this year. And by the way, that's really a great thing to do for those of you who are learned. You take one parish each year. If you like, one time start the Abarbanel, another time you do the Rashi, another time you do Abaye. It's a great way to learn Parsha or the Yakar. You have plenty to choose from, and that's a great way to have a Seder Parsha Shavua by learning a different Parish each year. Okay, so he quotes Rav Tzadok of Lublin, who is a great scholar and also a thinker who was like independent. He didn't just say the creative thinker. Who is I'm not knowledgeable in Rav Tzadok. I'm not holding everything in Rav Tzadok, but he is known as a great thinker. I've said the bracha before. Torah or. And Iker Cholim. They came out with mugs a couple of years ago, and I found one. And, it was being used for pen. I said I could use it to drink. So water and coffee. That's it. Only water and coffee. Nothing stronger than that. What's that? Diet Coke. All right. So you mentioned the word Hirhor. Right? Hirhor is a type of thought. Where does thought generally come from? Right, your head, right? Machshava, choshev, to think. But hirhor is another kind of thinking, which comes from what Rabbi says. It comes from the heart, right? So, which is an interesting thing because in the Middle Ages, sometimes when the sages talk about lay, and in the Torah it says lay, it actually means in your mind. So I don't want to get physical about it. Is it the mind or is it the heart? But it just means it's two different ways of thinking. One is purely cognitive, purely intellectual, and the other is the type of thinking which comes from the heart. It's more of a feeling kind of emotion and a knowledge that is based in the heart and not purely rational. It's more emotional, as you said. Uh, um, all right. So when you're talking about the heart, we say in the Shema, the third paragraph, what do we say? Losa suru, you shouldn't follow akare livavchem, right? After your heart. So this kind of thinking is related to the Yetzer Hara, because you're drawn to things that you see, some impulsiveness, and some reaction on a visceral emotional, intuitive kind, the Yetzer Hara or the Yetzer Hatov. Right? And so Hashem, Tzadok says that Hashem is the melech over our whole heart, and we need God's help to make the right choices. Right? Okay, and the letter Vav is called in the Zohar Os HaEmetz, the letter of truth, because recognizing the truth and the ultimate sense of Hashem's truth will help us choose correctly. Right? So the Os Vav is saying, hey, there is a choice, but it's trying to reinforce the idea the Vav represents Hashem's truth. And we know that the signature of Hashem is Emet. It's one of the names of Hashem. Right? So this is what the Sefer Yetzirah through Reb Tzadok and Al Yeshua is teaching us, that Iyar is about making the choice. So this is where we're getting now. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So we just said, right? We built up this case of Iyar. Now we thinking about is whether